Welcome back to Arise America. Continue our coverage of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit. We turn to Arise News East Africa Bureau Chief Jeff Koinange, who's in Washington, D.C. He interviews Okendo Gayle, the founder and chairman of the Harambee Entrepreneur Alliance. Jeff.
That's right, Julian, and this is the narrative coming on the sidelines of this first ever U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit. Young Africans taking control of their collective destinies. And this young man, this Okendo Gayle, and his fund, the Harambee Entrepreneurial Alliance, is doing exactly that, helping young Africans take over their collective destiny. So I started off by asking him, why the name Harambee? Harambee Entrepreneurial Alliance. How did you come up with the name, first of all?
Well, one of the things, we needed something we could all pronounce, and that actually had a meeting, and we were listening to a radio show, and there was a song by the wife of Bob Marley called Harambee, and then we came to find out what it meant, and of course, it was perfect for what we were trying to do here, by bringing different people together.
Sure. So, Kendo, if someone was to ask you to explain what Harambee Entrepreneurial Alliance is, how would you put it?
Our alliance is very much attempt to support the entrepreneurial aspirations of highly educated young Africans from leading universities across Africa and the United States, and we do so by providing access to venture capital, angel investment, pro bono legal services, and all the resources they need at the early stages of their venture formation. In a sense, what we're attempting to do is lower the entry barriers to youth entrepreneurship so that more young Africans can take risks and really create the social and business ventures that we need to transform our challenges into opportunities.
If someone was to say, look, Okendo, you're 31 years old. How did you come up with this? When people think of angel funds, I mean, it's almost impossible. How'd you come up with this?
Well, you see, I like to really say, if you think about it, I'm sort of a historian by training, and I'm probably the least likely individual to start an alliance of business entrepreneurs, but I figure that since an amateur sort of built Noah's Ark and professionals the Titanic, it might all work out in the end. But in reality, I think part of the reason I simply saw a need. I simply saw the fact that you had a growing number of investors who were looking for a pipeline of reliable and investment-ready entrepreneurs, and on the other hand, you saw entrepreneurs that needed access to patient capital for both to start and scale their ventures.
Speaking of young Africans, yes, you have a whole bunch of them who have graduated through your program, if you will. Yeah. Talk us through a couple of them at least, if you will. There's some from Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria.
Yeah, no, I think what you'll find is Harambee entrepreneurs, again, are, I like to say, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And you've got this nice guy from the University of UC Berkeley in California. He's an engineer, and he has developed a program that now manufactures ambulances in Uganda, and that are now sold to the Red Cross and World Vision, a number of health organizations, and that are used to transport folks from rural areas into the hospitals in the urban area. And I think this is very much a product of its time. These young Africans are reacting, consuming this information about Africa, a new narrative of Africa rising, and are simply saying, well, what's my role? And this is the result. This is they're taking risks and they're starting businesses across Africa.
So, Okendo, if someone was to ask you, coming out of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, if someone was to say, Okendo, is this Africa's moment? Is this our moment right now?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that, because I'm a big, one of the things I keep telling everybody, if you clearly look at the progress over the last decade, there's reasons to be optimistic. The current trajectory is propitious, yet a sober assessment of the challenges ahead should remind all of us that trend is not destiny, and that if we're going to unlock that potential that we all know Africa has, we will have to answer the insidious question of how, which means how will Africa transform or seize the unprecedented convergence of resources and opportunity to create the inclusive social, political, and economic gains for all its people. And I do believe that this emerging generation of young African entrepreneurs are best positioned to answer this question, the how. However, we should not be under any illusion. This is not going to be a walk in the park. This is going to be hard. And yet, I think if we equip these young Africans with the resources we know they need, I do believe we all stand a better chance at unlocking Africa's true potential. But
Yeah.
again, trend is not destiny. And if it's going to be, it's because we're going to work at it together.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir.
Enchanté.
Good job.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Pas de quoi.
And that was Okendo Lewis Gayle there, Julian. This is the new generation of Africans taking control of their collective destinies, and they want to move the continent forward. As you well know, the majority on the continent of 1 billion people are the age of Okendo Lewis Gayle. They're the ones who want to drive the continent forward.
And Jeff, this is great news, and of course, a great report as always, as you do. I got to ask you, what are some of the larger concerns for people like Okendo Lewis Gayle and his generation at the U.S.-Africa Summit?
Look, one of the biggest concerns, Julian, and you know this, it's the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act, AGOA, which was started during the Clinton administration. Basically, one of his biggest legacies in Africa. This broke down trade barriers between Africa and the U.S., and it's generated billions and also led to employment of tens of thousands of young people. Well, that act comes up in September 2015. The African nations and the presidents want this renewed. Secretary of State John Kerry today said it's been good for both Africa and the U.S., but nobody is quite sure whether AGOA will be renewed come September 2015. And if it isn't, tens of thousands of jobs will be at stake, Julian. That's one nagging concern.
Yeah, of course, with the gridlock in Washington and in both the House and the Senate, one never knows. And I've got to ask you, with this, with Obama going out of office in 2016, do you think that these initiatives, these bonds between Africa and the United States that we're trying to cement, do you think they'll continue? Are there any concerns about that after President Obama leaves office?
Lots and lots of concerns. And, the other thinking on the continent is it's taken President Obama this long, midway through his second term. And that has concerned a lot of Africans. They're saying, why did it take so long? Why couldn't he have taken the initiative earlier? But obviously, he had other things he was dealing with. But on the ground, people are hoping that these initiatives, AGOA and, of course, PEPFAR. Remember that one under George W. Bush?
Yes.
That helped reverse a lot of HIV and AIDS cases. And the taps seem to be running dry on that. Another major concern on the Africans' part.
We got less than a minute left, Jeff, but I just want to get to this. We're talking about the United States Johnny-come-lately in this, an American term. It's a little too late, but I'm looking here at Africa's top trading partners. The U.S. is number 2 with about $90.5 billion. So I wonder if the U.S. is getting a bad rap.
Probably getting a bad rap, Julian. But look, let me explain it the way an analyst told me. The Africa Rising train was on the platform for many, many years. And we kept saying, get on board, get on board. The Chinese got on board. The train left the station. Now the U.S. and the West is saying, hey, stop the train. The Africans are saying, the train could be pretty full. Let's meet you at the next stop. That's what the analysts were saying. That's where we are right now, Julian.
Jeff Koinange with the best and always the latest. Jeff, thank you so much for all that you do.